not use certain language or whatever that might offend people. So I am now inviting him into the radio, the voice chat. So Toe, go ahead and pull our man Stepan in here. Let's hear what Stepan has to say. And just give that just a second, guys, as we pull, because of the delay. We're gonna pull Stepan on in here. Hey, Beto, what's up? I refuse to be tolerant. Well, you're gonna have to be. Try not to troll too much tonight, Beto, because I want to have as serious a conversation about this as we can. What's up, Stepan?
No trolling today. At least not anymore, I suppose. Right. The point that I wanted to make, and this was like fucking half an hour ago, right? Because you keep going on rants. Is the whole doxing thing that you mentioned, and the whole death threats thing.
Mm-hmm.
My point and my opinion on this is people should be allowed to make as many threats as they possibly fucking want, because that's freedom of speech in its finest. You can say the most stupidest, obscene shit you can, and it's fine, because it's a freedom of speech. You have a freedom of speech, you have a freedom not to fucking listen. It's possible. You can turn off your phone, you don't have to fucking do it. But if you are actively trying to put people in jail, or threaten people, or fine people for making any of those threats, that's on you, because you are actively taking the agency away from them for possibly changing their mind. Think of it this way. You and me and everybody else here can probably remember an episode from their past when they went, fuck, I was stupid back then, what the fuck was I thinking? And essentially you're stopping people from getting that revelation that they were fucking stupid at one point and they were doing stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
So you're stopping the personal evolution of an individual by preventing them from acting out, well not acting out, from voicing their opinion. If they start to act it out physically, then there you go, you have reasons. That's why we have police, that's why we have everybody else.
Okay, so
then they can
go ahead.
I mean, if somebody does like anything out, there you go, you have jail sentences, yada 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 yada. If we had a proper technology that would how to say this? If there was a technology that could track people that make all these threats, you keep a database and see if any of those people actually attempt to do anything semi-illegal and relevant to the threats they made, then you have the right to act, because they are, acting out their stupidity. But until they do that, you have no right to interfere in that, because that's beginning of thought crime. And thought crime is something I do not want to live in.
No, you've provided, like I said, your opinions on this are very important, and they're not without cause. And they are very real, and I think, again, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. I know, I like George Orwell. I like reading his sci-fi books, and he's presented a lot of really strange, when you look at the parallels in his novels, and then you compare it to our society today, you'll see a lot of interesting parallels that are very frightening in them. And you are seeing that, and hence part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because you have people being shamed and actively suppressed for sharing their opinions on the matter, or contrary opinions. Now, to that point, let's talk about specifically Anita Sarkeesian and her videos. Here's an example of how freedom of speech is being suppressed, or the ability to create any kind of constructive argument. Her videos, if you go to her videos, the comments are banned. You can't even like or downvote them. So there is absolutely no discourse being had with these people. That is the problem that I have with these people that promote identity politics. Now, getting more so to what you're saying, we should not regulate speech at all. There has to be we have to draw the line somewhere, because freedom of speech is not freedom from its consequences. Now, you could say whatever you want. That doesn't mean you're not going to be punished for what you're saying. If you go into a movie theater and shout, or a theater, and you shout fire, you will incite panic. People could get hurt. There are liability issues. You can't go onto a plane and yell bomb without freaking people out and causing a riot or a panic or a mass hysteria and shutting down a system, essentially. You then require resources to check into the authenticity of the threat. It creates manpower. It takes off the time. Let's just say in the bomb sense, you have planes that are now grounded. The airport will shut down. everything comes to a standstill. So you have elements of the economy being affected, of travel, of people's individual lives being influenced by speech. So in a very real reason, you can say that, okay, well, we shouldn't regulate speech at all because of the fact that if we do, we are infringing on their their right to say what they want to say. They have that, and because they haven't acted upon those things, we shouldn't penalize these people because of the fact that they've not acted on it. How do you what about people that say like, LOL, I wish Obama would die, something like they wish a death threat on the president. I'm not even going to voice something like that because I don't want the NSA knocking on my door. But there have been people that have disappeared, essentially, been black bagged or taken in by the FBI for questioning, and they're not heard from for a very long time, or the CIA, because of the fact that they have made a joke at the president's express that puts his safety in jeopardy. Now, they have to take certain threats seriously. Law enforcement or whoever litigates these issues has to take these threats seriously, because if they don't, when these things do happen, it's too late. If someone's going on Twitter saying, I hate females, they deserve to die, I am so mad because they won't sleep with me, I have money, I'm handsome, they should get with me, females are the scum of the earth, and then they take their car and run over a bunch of people, murdering them, and people will keep saying, they throw up their hands like, why didn't anybody say anything about this? Why didn't we know sooner? And it's been plastered all over social media, oftentimes you find out. And it's like, well, he seemed like a normal guy, but, I noticed, like, a couple weeks ago, he started saying things like people should die and stuff like that, but I just thought he was going through a rough patch in his life. And the problem is that you have people that will sit in a clock tower and will gun people down. You have people that will take their car and they'll run them over. You have people that will take a machine gun and go into their coworker's office and blow them apart after they've already expressed their freedom of speech and wanting to do so. That is the problem. So I don't think that this is another example of the lose-lose situation that I was talking about. If you do not regulate some elements of speech in this manner, then you're going to have a problem. I am not a proponent of censorship. I hate censorship. I am a fierce advocate of the freedom of speech, and I want the ability to have an open conversation with people. Hence, I actually looked for opposing views on this, and it was kind of hard to find. But I tried to ask a diverse population what they thought of this subject matter before I came and did this podcast. And you have people that are scared to talk for a very real reason, and they don't know what to think, and they are afraid of being labeled something because of the fact that people have done that, and that is a suppression, is a censorship of speech, and it's a shame that has happened. I don't think I am scared of thought police. Now, people don't. I shouldn't have thought. I wouldn't want thought police in my society. And just because you think something like at one point in your life, or you thought about a violent act, doesn't mean that you're going to commit it. You haven't done that yet. It's not. It's we don't live in Minority Report. They talk about like that, the precogs, like why the Minority Report system was wrong. That doesn't change the fact that the thoughts that people have are oftentimes their behaviors are governed by the thoughts that they have, and they need to be taken seriously. What college do I attend? I attend the University of Phoenix Online. So that's where it becomes a lose-lose. Like, do you in fact protect the people that are having these threats against them, or do you not? Do you just let their personal information spammed across the internet? If you said this and someone were to take your information because they didn't like what you just said, Stepan, and to spam it across the internet, would you want that to happen?
No. That
would you
seem like a fun idea.
And would you want them to be properly disciplined and punished?
What, for giving my information away?
Yes, for giving your information away.
That's a good question. I don't actually... then again, I haven't actually done anything. The fault is with the person that does the deed, not...
Okay, that's not what I'm asking. Would you want this person properly disciplined and punished if someone were to take your personal information and to spam it across the internet? In a malicious way. Hey, send this guy dog shit to this guy's house. Hey, throw a Molotov cocktail at this guy's house. Throw a brick at his house. Would you want someone saying that about you giving your personal information, your street address, or your place of work, or your place of residency, or where you casually visit on the weekends or whatever, would you want them sharing that information? Let's start with there. Would you want that information shared against your will? Huh?
Obviously not, because that's
Okay,
your
all
privacy.
right, so no. The answer is no. You wouldn't want that shared. Okay, now if someone were to do that, would you want them properly dealt with? Would you want them disciplined? Would you want there to be recompense for what they did? Would you demand that this person be punished? Or would you like to see them punished for what they did? Yes or no?
Let's go with the yes.
Okay, yes. So, you just agreed. Okay, hang on. No, we were talking about doxing. We were specifically talked about doxing, and when she was talking, when Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn went to the UN, that was one of the things they talked about. They brought up the fact that they had been doxed. Now, that is true. That's a fact. It was all over the internet. There's compromising pictures that Miss Quinn had sent to her boyfriend that was sent in confidence and that was then shared on the internet. That's not okay. But this is what happened. That was an invasion of their privacy, and people were exercising their free speech to share that information, and then went ahead and said, fuck her. Oh yeah, five nights at Zoe Quinn's house, or Five Guys franchise, because they made all these references to the fact that she had allegedly had sex with 5 different men, and they made all these disparaging remarks about her sexuality and for supposedly having sex with these men and being a whore. And then they said they were going to come to her house, and they said, this is her street address. Tell her you're going to go to her house. Tell her you're going to sexually assault her and kill her dog, and sexually assault her dog and kill her. Now, do you think that's acceptable?
No, but that leads back to the original point. Her pictures weren't... I heard that she did a photo shoot on Suicide Girls, which is a particular website that does goth girls and tattoos and whatnot.
Yeah,
it was a naked photo shoot.
No,
and
there's
somebody found those. And 4chan, and then they send them to everybody else.
That might be true.
But again, those pictures are in the public domain.
Yeah. No. Okay. What you're saying about what you're saying about that, you're right. If that was counted as public domain, you're absolutely right. And if they're public domain and she didn't want those pictures shared, then that makes sense. However, as far as I understand it, there are actual private pictures that she had sent to her boyfriend that were exposed because he was the alleged quote-unquote whistleblower that blew the whistle on her for sleeping with these men for getting positive reviews of her games. And then people took then these people took these images, these personal images, these private images, and then they took her personal information, her address, and then they sent her death threats. And they doxed her. And she was saying it's inappropriate for this to happen. We need to have some kind of regulation on this kind of speech on the internet to make it sure that people like me are not being victimized. And we're not blaming the victims, saying, you did a photo shoot in Suicide Girls, so you kind of asked to have death threats. You kind of asked to be sexually assaulted. No. People have said this. This is a fact. People have said this too. I am not a fan of Zoe Quinn, okay? And the allegations that are against her, I happen to think that there's probably some kind of truth that something happened, some kind of exchange, whether it was sexual or not, I don't know. Whatever she was doing, even if it was just with her boyfriend, he knew these guys that were in game developing, and maybe he passed a favorable word on. Maybe he asked for support for his girlfriend or whatever, and then she did these things, and then they broke up, and blah 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 blah. They had this fallout. That doesn't change the fact that these things happened, and it was wrong, and it should not have happened to her, regardless of whether you like her or not. And I personally feel like there needs to be some kind of safeguard to protect people against this. As a streamer myself, I have personally found instances of people committing these allegations.
Fair enough. It's not what I'm. I know. Let me put the words in English in a proper manner. Doxing is one thing, and yes, you're right, it shouldn't be, it's not a nice thing to do, and yada yada yada. But just having an overwhelming amount of threats sent to your email or to your Twitter or whatever, that means nothing. That's just words on the internet. That's just some dickhead behind the screen typing, I hate you and I want to eat your liver, whatever. The point is, the screen, the computer, it depersonalizes you and the individual behind on the other end. that's why there is so much shit on the internet, because people are just going, oh, it's not gonna come back